What's up, gardeners? I know it's February and I know it's still really chilly outside, but if you're anything like me, you're itching to get your hands in the dirt. So today I'm going over 9 vegetable seeds that you can start indoors in February. Imagine biting into a juicy tomato, a crunchy carrot, or a fresh head of lettuce that you grew yourself at home. It sounds amazing, right? Well, it's totally possible, and February is the prime time to get started. Let's get into it. Crop number 1 today is Bok Choy. Bok Choy has been a staple in Chinese gardens for over 5,000 years. It's delicious and tender when you harvest the baby leaves, and it develops a richer, fuller flavor as you harvest it more mature. Bok Choy is a cool weather crop that can be sown in the spring or the fall. You can direct sow it outdoors, or in my case, I'll be starting indoors and then transplanting it out in 4 to 6 weeks. Plant 1 or 2 seeds per cell, about a ½ inch deep, and some well-draining potting mix. Keep the soil moist and the seeds will germinate in 4 to 10 days. If multiple seeds sprout per cell, then 1 out once the true leaves start to develop. Because Bok Choy is a cool season crop and can handle some light frost, it's one that I'll be transplanting outdoors before my last frost actually hits here in Atlanta. I forgot to mention I'm planting the Chinese Bok Choy variety, and these are from True Leaf Market. Crop number 2 is Brussels sprouts. The variety that I'm planting today is Long Island Brussels sprouts, and these are also from True Leaf Market. Brussels sprouts can be grown in cold conditions and they're very tolerant to frost. The plants can take up to 100 days to mature, so they're good to grow during the winter and colder months. These can be sown outside directly, but indoors you can start them 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost. Planting 1 to 2 seeds per cell at a depth of about a ½ inch deep. These seeds will germinate in 7 to 14 days. Covering the trays up with a humidity dome will help the seeds sprout just a little bit faster. I know some people aren't big fans of Brussels sprouts, but I really enjoy them roasted. I haven't grown them before, so I'm hoping to have a successful harvest this year. The next crop is Swiss Chard, and I'm growing the Ruby Red variety from True Leaf Market. This variety has bright red stalks and then these deep, rich greens. It's really cool to see growing up in the garden. The mature plants can grow up to about 2 feet tall, but you can also harvest them as baby greens or even as microgreens. I'm sowing 2 seeds per cell at a depth of about a ½ inch. These will germinate in 7 to 10 days as long as the soil is somewhere between 55 and 75 degrees. That makes them ideal for starting indoors. Another thing that I like about growing Swiss Chard is you can do what's called the cut and come again method for harvesting, meaning you can harvest the plant from the outside leaves, keeping the main stem intact, and the plant will continue to grow. The next crop is Collards, and these are hands down one of my favorite crops to grow. I'm growing the Georgia Southern variety, a perfect pairing for my ATL garden. I'm sowing 2 seeds per cell at a depth of about a ½ inch. That's pretty consistent across the family of cold crops. These will germinate indoors in around 5 to 10 days. They'll be ready to transplant outdoors 4 to 6 weeks before my last frost. The Georgia Collards are also cold hardy, so I'll be transplanting them outdoors before my last frost. Probably when they get their second set of true leaves, I'll start hardening them off and get them outdoors. I actually want them to experience a little bit of chill and maybe even some frost. That helps the collards develop a sweet flavor. The next crop today is Kale. Today I'm sowing the Lacinato and Red Russian varieties. The sowing conditions and growing conditions for these are pretty much the exact same. They're another in the cold family. The planting depth for these is also a ½ inch, and I'm sowing 2 seeds per cell. These will germinate in about a week if soil temps are somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 degrees. Once the seeds sprout, they need lots of light, so I'll be keeping them indoors under grow lights for 14 to 16 hours a day. That mimics the amount of sun that they need when they're growing outdoors. I like to harvest kale best as baby greens. To me, it has a bit of a lighter flavor, which is great in smoothies or stir fry. My next crop today is Kohlrabi. I'm sowing the early white and the purple Vienna varieties. Kohlrabi is one of those crops that I didn't know anything about until I started gardening, and I first saw it at the farmer's market. I've been obsessed with growing it ever since. It's a member of the cabbage family. It produces these alien-looking bulbs and then bright leafy greens. I'm sowing 2 seeds per cell at a depth of ½ inch. And these can germinate anywhere from 3 to 10 days if you start them indoors. As much as I dislike the process, if you do get multiple per cell, you do need to thin out the smallest one so that the remaining has room to grow big and strong. I haven't had a chance to grow Kohlrabi to full harvest yet. So if you have any ideas for recipes, drop them in the comments below. My next crop today is spinach. I've picked the Matador Viking variety, also from True Leaf Market. Now this is a bit of a curveball. Spinach you can start indoors, but it actually does better outdoors, especially if you have mild winters like mine. So I'll be direct sowing these outdoors in my raised beds and containers. This variety produces large, smooth, dark green leaves. They've got a really intense spinach flavor. You can steam these for greens or chop them up fresh for a salad. Spinach seeds germinate in 7 to 21 days, depending upon your soil temps. If you get a warmer stretch like we're about to have, these should sprout pretty quick. I'm sowing my seeds every 2 to 4 inches, and then I'll thin them out to every 4 inches once the seeds sprout. These mature in 35 to 50 days. So they're a really quick grow, giving you something to harvest during the late winter months. The next crop is peppers, and we're definitely starting these indoors. I'm starting one of my favorite varieties today, and that's the hot poblano pepper from True Leaf Market. There's just something about fresh roasted poblanos that I absolutely love. Poblanos thrive in pots, containers, and raised bed gardens, and they can even be overwintered if you live in warm regions. It's a heat-loving crop, so it doesn't do well in cool temps or cool soil. Hot peppers are slow to germinate, and they take a little bit longer to get ready to transplant outdoors. That makes them an ideal candidate for starting in February. Now, something that is also a little different about these is I'm actually going to be starting them on a heat mat. I'm sowing 1 seed per cell at a depth of about a ½ inch. And because they're going to be indoors for a while, I'm going to be using these larger 4-cell trays that'll allow the plant to continue to mature without needing to be potted up. Even on a heat mat, these can take anywhere from 14 to 30 days to germinate. So don't panic if you don't see sprouts really early. Poblano seeds germinate best when temps are between 70 and 85 degrees. So I'll be setting the temperature with the soil probe and this thermometer. Now, because they're so sensitive to frost, these won't get transplanted outdoors until at least 2 weeks after my last frost date. The next crop today is tomatoes. I've picked the Early Boy Bush variety. It's a determinate tomato, which is my preference for growing in small spaces. Tomatoes, like peppers, are another crop that prefer warmer temperatures. The Early Boy variety is supposed to produce fruit earlier than some of the other tomatoes, and that's why I'm giving it a head start. I'm sowing 2 seeds per cell, again using the larger 4-cell tray so that I don't have to pot them up in a few weeks. They germinate in 7 to 14 days. One thing that I really like about tomato seedlings, if multiple sprout, you can just pull one out and then plant it in another cell without having to waste a seed. I'll also be keeping these trays on heat mats to help the seeds germinate faster. Covering the trays with these humidity domes gives a nice, consistent environment for the seeds to sprout. And these will be hanging around indoors for a while. These won't be transplanted outdoors until 2 weeks after my last frost. And there you have it. This has been 9 vegetable seeds that you can start indoors in February. I hope you're excited to start your garden. If you found value in this video, smash the like button and please subscribe to help me grow the channel. See you next time.